So we are saying, what is love? Theologians have written volumes about it. The priests throughout the world have given a significance to it. Every man and woman throughout the world gives a specific meaning to it. If they are sensual, they give that meaning. And so on, so on, so on. So, being aware how we approach it, openly, freely, without any motive, then the door is open to perceive what it is, right? We close the door to perception if we come to it with an opinion, with some conclusion, with our own personal little experience. We close the door and there's nothing you can't investigate. But if you come to it openly, freely, eagerly to find out, then the door opens, you can look through. All right? Please, are we doing this? Because I think this may solve all our human problems. The approach and what is love. In the mechanistic world, it doesn't exist. The totalitarian people, that word is probably an abomination. They only know it as love of the country, love of the state. Or if you're a Christian, you have love of God, or love of Jesus, or love of somebody. In India, it's the love of their particular guru or their particular deity, and so on. So we're asking, putting all that aside, not ignorantly, but seeing that what they have done, what religions have done with that word, and perhaps with the feeling behind that word, being aware of all that, we must go into this, right? It means we must not only look what others have done to the word, how they have imposed certain conclusions upon our minds throughout the ages, and also what our own inclinations are. Being aware of all that, let's approach it tentatively. What is love? Is it pleasure? Go on, sir. Inquire, dig into yourself and find out. Is it pleasure? For most of us it is. Sexual pleasure, which is called love, sensory pleasure. And that sensory pleasure, sexual pleasure, has been called love. And that apparently dominates the world. It dominates the world because probably in our own lives it dominates us. So we have identified ourselves with that thing called pleasure, identified love with that thing called pleasure. And is love pleasure? Which doesn't mean that love is not pleasure. We must inquire into it. It may be totally something entirely different. But first we must inquire into it. Right? Is love desire? Is love remembrance? Please. Which means, is love the remembered experience as pleasure, and the demand of thought as desire with its image, and the pursuit of that image is called love. Is that love? That's that. And is being attached to a person or to country, to an idea, is that love? Attachment, dependence. Please look into yourself, not listen to me. I'm not worth listening to. But what is significant, what's worthwhile, is that you listen to yourself. When these questions are being put, you have to answer it for yourself, because it's your daily life. And if attachment is not love, and if attachment is love, what are the implications involved in it? You understand my question? If we say love is pleasure, then we must see the whole consequences and the implications of that statement. Then we depend entirely on sensory, sexual excitement, which is called love. And with it goes all the suffering, the anxiety, the desire to possess, and from that possessive desire, attachment. And where you are attached, there is fear, fear of loss. And from that arises jealousy, anxiety, anger, gradual hatredness. Right? And also you must see what are the consequences if it is not pleasure. Then what is love? Which is not jealousy, attachment, remembrance, pursuit of pleasure through imagination and desire and so on. Is love then the opposite of all this? You follow? I'm lost. We said, is love the opposite of pleasure, of attachment, of jealousy? If love is that, then that love contains jealousy, attachment, and all the rest of it. Therefore, love, seeing all the implications of attachment, pursuit of desire, the continuous reel of remembrances. I loved and I am not loved. I remember that particular sexual pleasure or that particular incident which gave me delight. So the pursuit of that and the opposite of what is called love is then love the opposite of hate. You understand? Or love has no opposite. You following all this? Facial, it's hot. So we are finding out. Please go with it. You will see something extraordinary come out of this. I don't know what's coming out of it myself, but I can feel something extraordinary coming out of it if we all listen to ourselves, actually. And the religions have made love of God, love of Jesus, love of Krishna, love of Buddha, follow, totally unrelated to daily life. And we are concerned with the understanding and finding the truth of our daily life, the totality of it, not just sex or power or position or jealousy or some idiotic complex one has, but the whole structure and the nature of the extraordinary life in which we live. So, as we said, the opposite is not love. If we understand that through negation of what is not, which means not negating or denying in the sense of pushing it away, resisting it, controlling it, but understanding the whole nature and the structure and the implications of desire, of pleasure, of remembrance. Out of that comes this sense of intelligence, which is the very essence of love, right? Are we meeting each other, sir? You say this is impossible. I'm young, I'm full of beans, and I'm full of sex. And I want to indulge in it. You may call it whatever you like, but I like that. Till I catch some disease or some man or woman runs away with another, then begins the whole circus. Jealousy, anxiety, fear, hatred, and so on. So what is one to do when one is young, full of life, all the glands highly active? What is one to do? Don't look at me. Look at yourself, which means, please listen, which means you cannot possibly depend on another to find out the answer. You have to be a light to yourself. You have to be a light to yourself in understanding, desire, remembrance, the whole attachment, and all that. Understand it, live it, find out. Find out how the thought pursues pleasure endlessly. If you understand the depth and the fullness and the clarity of all that, then one will not be in a state of perpetual control, then guilt and regret. You follow? All that one goes through when one is young. If one is sensitive. If you are merely out for pleasure, well, that's a different matter. So, love is not the opposite of hate, of desire, or pleasure. So love is something entirely different from all that. Because love has no opposite. If you really understand this, go into it, not catch my enthusiasm, my vitality, my interest, my intensity, then we will find out what is much more inclusive than that is compassion.